Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Rob. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those that are new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. Today we have a tarot that I wasn't really sure if it was going to be worth it or not, but I got it anyway. It's the Leonardo Da Vinci Tarot. It's by Lo Scarabeo. The artwork is by Yasin Guiselev and Atanas Atanasov. And yeah, this one is by Lo Scarabeo, as I just mentioned. Let me zoom out a little bit so we can work a little bit better here. And it comes in a talk box like this, you guys. This is not an expensive deck, but you know, I've always been attracted to Leonardo da Vinci and his work. And so I thought, what a great idea to have a tarot that is inspired on Leonardo da Vinci. Of course, these are not Leonardo da Vinci's artwork, but it is artwork inspired by Leonardo da Vinci. Here on the side of the box, it says, the image is inspired by the brilliant Italian artist, together with a profound symbolic meaning, give life to the union between painting and cartomancy. Interesting, right? So let's get started, you guys. They come in a talk box like this. I bought my deck directly with Lo Scarabeo. As I always say, I always try to buy my decks directly with the publisher or with the artist themselves, the creators, because there's so many clones out there, you guys. I mean, like the clone thing has happened to me more than 3 or 4 times, and I'm done with it. So whenever I can go and buy directly with Lo Scarabeo, so I go. My decks come, well, my Lo Scarabeo decks come directly from Lo Scarabeo in Italy. And, you know, I don't mind the wait. I don't mind the paying for the extra shipping. I know I'm getting the real thing. So, you know, because I've just been surprised by these clones more than a couple of times, and I don't want it anymore. So let's get into it, you guys. These are cool cards. I mean, if you're into Leonardo da Vinci, this is one of those decks that you definitely want to get. The talk box is a regular run-of-the-mill talk box by Lo Scarabeo. Nothing really to it. It's not a super expensive deck. It's not, you know, I think this deck was at the end of the day $23, $24 or something like that. And yeah, that's that. And of course, like all of the Lo Scarabeos, it comes with a small booklet. Well, not like all of them actually, because I've said this before. This particular, you know, Lo Scarabeo has different presentations. And this particular presentation comes usually with a deck, with a booklet like this. And so if you get there's other presentations by Lo Scarabeo, of course, that are even more expensive. And for example, this one right here, this is the other sort of presentation that they have. This is Supernova. I did a review on it a little while ago, and this is a different presentation by Lo Scarabeo. It comes in a hard box. And then when you get this sort of presentation by Lo Scarabeo, you pay more money, and then at the same time, you get a little bit more for your buck. So with this one, you get usually a thicker book like this, as you can see. And with this presentation, with this talk box presentation, you get a booklet like this. So just so you know, you guys, because I'm always, whenever I'm doing a Lo Scarabeo review, I'm always talking about that. And for those of you that didn't know about this and the sort of different presentations that they put out on the market, that's one of them. The talk box is another one. And today we're going to be doing the talk box. And of course, this talk box, the talk box presentations usually come with a small booklet like this. I hope that was clear. This is what it comes in. It has, of course, a presentation, Leonardo da Vinci. And I'm going to read some of this. And while I read that, I'll be showing you some of the cards so that you can see them and that you have something to look at while I do that. Presentation. The creation of a new tarot deck is always a challenge. The artists who put themselves to this test know this all too well. Having had a maintained coherency of style, line, and color for 78 images. But before creating the image as a project, which is simultaneously traditional as well as innovative, is necessary because the arcana must always be recognizable. The problem becomes greater when an artist of the caliber of Leonardo da Vinci is used as a point of reference. One risks falling into plagiarism or banalization. Yeah, of course. I didn't think about that, but it is totally true. But the Leonardo Tarot has overcome the challenge. The major arcana created in 1992 by Yasin Guselev, following my iconographic indications, may be inserted among the Leonardesque masterpieces. In fact, as the well-known art historian Marco Busagli wrote, the Bulgarian painter has completely succeeded in restoring the charm of Leonardesque chiaroscuro using an impeccable technique. Today, 10 years later, the deck is offered in a complete version thanks to another Bulgarian artist, Atanas Atanosov, who took steps to create the 56 minor arcana, which observing this new series, one remains spellbound by the seriousness with which the Eastern European schools prepare new generations of artists, making them capable of interpreting the art. Let's emphasize the uppercase A with the lightness of those who have perfectly acquired both the aesthetic percepts as well as the most refined techniques. This is why it seems to me that the entire deck should be attributed to the judgment expressed in turn by Busagli. The Leonardo Tarot is worthy of admiration. It is not simple, an academic exercise, but something more, almost as if the works by the genius Vinci are able to reveal here their most intimate nature, that of the arcana, of the intellect, and the spirit. So, and it goes on, you guys, and I can pause here, and then you can then pause your device and keep reading. It really is a masterpiece, and I think, by the way, this deck is brand new. I just got this deck 3 days ago. So if you're going to order this deck, the Leonardo da Vinci, through Lo Scarabeo, this is the one that you're going to get. This is brand new. I just got it. And so you can rest assured that if you order it, you're going to be getting this particular edition. So let's move on to the cards. Well, to finish up with the book, it gives you the divinatory interpretations, court figures, numeral card, the verdict. Then it goes into the major arcana. It goes into the minor arcana. And of course, as many of you know, and if you don't know, Lo Scarabeo prints their books and booklets in several languages. This one in particular is in English, Italian, Spanish, French, and German. So that's how the book is divided. And that's why this booklet may seem a little bit thick, but it really isn't. It's just that it's in like 4 or 5 different languages. That's why it may look a little bit thicker. But let's get started with the deck, you guys. Let me show you around. It's a very cool deck. I'm happy I have it in my collection, to be honest. Let me zoom in a little bit exactly. It comes with this presentation card by Lo Scarabeo. There we go. It comes with this presentation card. This is the advertisement card for Lo Scarabeo. And yeah, I usually get rid of this card But this one I keep because I feel like this is part of the deck. So that one I keep. So let's get into it. I've yet to use this deck. Like I said, I just got it about 3 days ago, so I haven't been able to use it. But as I've mentioned in my other videos, you guys, I don't do unwrappings while I do my videos. I really like to open the decks on my own. I like to connect with the deck privately and without any interruptions, and then I will then present it to you in a video form after I have my own opinion of the deck. I mean, I have done a couple of spreads for myself with it to see how it feels. I've done a question. Every time I open a new deck, you guys, I actually have questions for that deck. How is it going to read to me? What is that deck supposed to, how is that deck going to influence my life? There is several spreads that you can do about that. And they're pretty cool. And maybe I'll do a video about that because those are really cool spreads. Whenever you get a new deck, then you should actually question your deck. And I do it. And it's a really cool exercise, and it really gets to, it really puts you in touch with the deck, and the deck then starts to introduce itself to you. And I find it a very cool exercise. So once again, back into the cards. This is the back of the card, you guys. I find the back of the card absolutely beautiful. It is reversible, as you can see. And so that's pretty cool if you read in reverse. The size is a pretty much regular size, you guys. So, paper quality. Paper quality is pretty good for this, for a mass-produced deck such as this one, and for this deck to be on sort of the less expensive spectrum of the Lo Scarabeo. It still is pretty good. It's pretty good paper. It's not totally glossy. It's not mate. It's sort of somewhere in between, and it works for me. I can't complain about it. It's not gilded. I don't know. I always say decks don't have to be gilded. I don't gild them myself. I respect the way that the creators intended the deck to be, but I think gilding on this deck could have maybe been cool, sort of like a silver gilding, or maybe, yeah, I think silver would have been really cool. Of course, I'm not going to do that, but it could have been really, it could have looked really, really nice on this particular deck, because I consider this deck a classic, right? This is not a modern deck by any means, but yeah, I think it would have made a nice, it would have given it a nice touch. And guys, whenever I see a deck like this, and I don't know why Lo Scarabeo picks which decks are going to be on this sort of presentation and which decks are going to be on this presentation, because obviously decks with this presentation, the cardstock gets a little bit fancier and more delicious, right? But on decks like this, on this price spectrum for Lo Scarabeo, they obviously it's less expensive, and so the paper stock is not as luscious as the other one maybe. Still, nevertheless, pretty good paper. I can't really say that I've ever had a Lo Scarabeo deck where I thought that the paper quality was not good, period, because I have many Lo Scarabeo decks, and it doesn't matter if it's one of the expensive ones or it's one of the less expensive ones, their paper quality always is okay. It goes from okay to actually superb. I really like Lo Scarabeo decks. For mass-produced decks, I get into the Lo Scarabeo decks. And with the US games, I've been surprised. I've gotten decks from US games where I thought, I can't go wrong. It's US Games is a major printing company, and they're going to, of course, have good paper. I have been super surprised, you guys. I have gotten US Games decks where I wasn't happy with the paper. quality. I wasn't happy with the printing. And that has never happened with Los Scarabeo. It doesn't matter if it's a lower end deck or if it's a higher end deck. Their printing is good. Their paper quality is good. And it goes from good to superb, as I just mentioned. So I can say that Los Scarabeo is one of those houses that has never disappointed me. Really, never. I mean, it could be that I'm not in love with their with the images on the cards. It could be that I didn't really relate to the images or the theme of the deck. But that has nothing to do with the quality of their paper stock. That had nothing to do with the quality of the product. They produce really good quality products, and US Games produces, of course they produce good quality products, but they're not always, I'm not always pleased with US Games, but with Los Scarabeo, that hasn't happened to me. So let's move on. I really wanted to emphasize on that because I think those are the two major printing tarot deck giants out there, right? Los Scarabeo and US Printing and US Games. So, but Los Scarabeo, I've never had a problem. With that being said, you guys, let's move on to the cards. I'm sorry I deviated from the cards. I tend to do that lately, but there's other things that I want to share, not only about the cards. So, once again, really classic deck, really classic images. And, you know, another thing that I wanted to say about this decks is that, you know, Leonardo da Vinci, it doesn't get any more famous than Leonardo da Vinci, I think, for artwork and paintings. And I don't know why, you know, with such a talented deck, I don't know why they minimize it to a talk box deck where they don't make it one of their high-end decks. And so I don't know why. I don't know if it has to do with money and it has to do with numbers and the fact that maybe, you know, throughout the years, I don't know how long this deck has been out, but I can tell you that it's not new. More than 10 years, I think it's been out. And I don't know if it's because, you know, they look at the numbers and they think, well, it didn't sell that well, so maybe we should just, you know, still produce it, but not on a high scale. I don't know if that has something to do with that, unfortunately, you guys, and I wish it wasn't like that, but this is an industry. Tarot card decks is an industry, and it all has to do with numbers, and these companies are out there, not just because they've been doing this for many years, but they need to make money. You know, the world goes around money, and without money, you can't stay in business. So I think that this has to do with money, but it's kind of like, so my point is that it's kind of sad because such beautiful decks, so much work that went into these decks that I would have loved to seen this Leonardo da Vinci as a total masterpiece, you know, as one of those decks that they would put out in a grandiose way. But it's not the case here. But nevertheless, I can't complain. At least I'm happy that somebody has it. So, and I had it on my list for a while. I wasn't really sure if I wanted it or not. It seemed, you know, I had other decks that I wanted more than this one. And now I'm sort of at a point where I'm thinking that I really acquired a lot of the decks that I really wanted to acquire that were really pressing on my list, and I've come to the point where I'm sort of getting decks now that just been on the back of my list for a long time that I was like, I don't know, should I get it, should I not get it? And so this was one of those decks that it's been on my list, but it's been really on the bottom of the list. And now I finally got it. So in terms of shuffling, you guys, let me zoom out a little bit more again. Yeah. So in terms of shuffling, it shuffles pretty well. You know, it's not super thick. It's not, look, I have small hands and I have plenty of space to work with the cards. And so it shuffles pretty well. As many of you know, I shuffle this way. I really like to keep my cards as new as possible. And I will be using this deck for divination, actually. And I will be using this deck for readings. And It shuffles very well. Let's see if we do a fan situation. What does that do? It works pretty good. It doesn't work like perfect, but it works okay. So yeah, I had like a little bit of problem there at the end, but I mean, you'll manage it and it'll come out. And so let's pull a couple of cards and take a look at them. So let me see if this light. Yeah, so what do we have here? We have the Three of Swords. Let me just pull in again so we can take a look. Okay, yeah, we have the Three of Swords. And although, you guys, the images don't really have anything to do with the Three of Swords, you know, usually the Three of Swords, you get a heart with knives or swords going through it. You don't get that here, right? You know, you get some figure just sort of, you know, looking the other way. So if you're starting with tarot and you're just learning the cards, maybe this deck is going to be a little bit confusing because it doesn't really give you any clues about the Three of Swords. But here it gives you the words in different languages. Here it gives you swords in English, espadas in Spanish, spade. I don't know if that is, I think that's French. Epes, I think it's French. And then Schwaden, which is German. And so very cool. Here it gives you the number. I mean, I really like the images and I will be using it. I think it's just one of those decks that speaks to me in its own little language. I haven't quite really figured it out. This is the Ace of Cups. And once again, it's the Ace of Cups. It shows a mother and a child. And this is a very different Ace of Cups, right? Because Ace of Cups usually gives you that love feeling. But, you know, this is love between a mother and a child. So it has its own language. You know, if it's not super traditional, I don't know that it goes to the Smith-Wade. Actually, now I kind of take that back if I said that it goes towards. No, I didn't. So this doesn't go over. This doesn't speak the Smith-Wade language. It has its own language, and that's fine. But I will use it. I will use it because I love old-looking decks. I have a lot of old decks. But this one is just a mass-produced, old-looking deck, right, from Leonardo da Vinci, which was not produced by, obviously not drawn by Leonardo da Vinci. And, you know, now that we're on the subject of art, a shout out to the artist. I mean, look at these paintings, you guys. It looks really like maybe Leonardo da Vinci did them, you know? I mean, this is pretty good. Now, this is the Temperance card. And so here you get an angel and you get an angel pouring a liquid over 2 cups. So that is a more traditional, a more traditional Rider-Smith-Wade image for the Temperance, right? And so let's see, what do we have here? Yeah, the Tower. Not very chaotic, you know. I mean, there's like lightning going into the tower there, but, you know, I think they really wanted the major arcanas to relate a little bit more or look a little bit more like the Rider-Waite-Smith. And I think that for the minor arcanas, they created images that maybe didn't have much to do with the Rider-Waite-Smith. So I think that's what I read about this. And so what do we have here? We have the Star card. I think this is a beautiful Star card, to be honest. And if you look at the colors, they're kind of subtle. They have a lot of that green on them, and they're not very colorful. I don't know if I really like that. I wish I would have seen a little bit more color. It seems like the color palette here has like maybe 3 or 4 shades of color on them and not more than that. But still, I like it. The frame is pretty cool. It has a frame, but then it has like this sort of like another frame on the back of it. It works. It's nice. I'm glad that I have it in my collection, you guys. I think it's a nice deck to have in my collection. Here is the Chariot. And you see the major arcanas, they really did try to stay in that Rider-Waite-Smith sort of line. And so they've done that. So if we take a minor arcana card, see, look, this is the Four of Wands. Once again, a woman with a child on it. It doesn't really speak to the Four of Wands that we know as in the Rider-Waite-Smith, right? So this is what we were just saying, and this is what I was just saying. You know, the major arcanas do stay along those lines of the Rider-Waite-Smith, and the minor arcanas sort of deviate from those, and that's fine, you know. But if you're starting with tarot and you're just learning the Rider-Waite-Smith, this might get a little bit confusing, and maybe not. Maybe not. I've said this on my other videos before, you guys. This is, I didn't even have to read it. This is the King of Pentacles. I saw that right away. So I guess the court cards are also sort of following the Rider-Waite-Smith. And but you see those colors again? It's sort of like those greens and brownish sort of colors. And they don't deviate from those. They stay with that color palette throughout the entire deck, and it's okay. It is what it is. What is this? This is the Page of Pentacles. That's a different Page of Pentacles, right? The Page of Pentacles usually, we think of the Page of Pentacles as a young character, and this doesn't look young to me at all. This looks kind of like a decrepit one. I'm gonna sort of look at the face, but then if you look at the legs, they look like they're still strong. But if you look at the top of the body, it looks like it's old. So interesting images, really. One more. What do we have here? Yeah, the Knight of Pentacles. This looks like a Knight of Pentacles, right? More of a Knight of Pentacles that we're used to, and yeah. See, and it looks like sort of like a statue, because it's like standing on a pedestal, which I find very interesting. So it's almost like, you know, it's almost like they pose there for Leonardo to paint them or to sculpt them. So it does look like it's in motion, but it also looks like it's just standing there for it to be painted, like it's just modeling, right? I mean, that would be very hard for that horse to stand like that for hours, but you know what I mean? It's standing here on a pedestal, so it looks like to me like they're modeling for Leonardo. And let's take just one or two more just to see what we have. Fours. This is a typical Rider-Waite-Smith image, right? The woman image taming the lion. It's typical, and so that's what they wanted to do with the major arcanas. They wanted them to stay in the same style as the Rider-Waite-Smith, and they certainly did accomplish that. What do we have here? This is the Queen of Pentacles. So that is a court card, and that pretty much goes. But you see, once again, you guys, it looks like she's modeling, right? It looks like, you know how the Mona Lisa, you know, it looks like she was modeling, and it looks like this one is also a self-portrait, or that, not a self-portrait, but it looks like she's just standing there and modeling. Everything is staged, you know, like, so the coin is like, it looks like somebody just strategically put it there. It looks like they told her how to place her hands and that kind of stuff. It's interesting. I mean, I guess that's very Leonardo da Vinci style, right? The Five of Wands. Yeah, she's protecting herself, or he's protecting himself. That kind of depicts a little bit of, it doesn't show a battle, but it shows, like, you know, it's expecting a battle. And once again, it looks like it's just modeling, or yeah, modeling. What do we have here? We have the Eight of Swords. Yeah, I guess this one sort of depicts the Rider-Waite-Smith a little bit more than the others. But once again, you guys, you get that modeling sort of structure to these cards where it looks like the person is modeling. It looks like everything was perfectly placed. It looks like even they picked the right tree for this character to stand on. So it's that kind of a deck. It doesn't, it looks like, it gives me that feeling of that it was staged. And that's also okay. You know, that means it's not really spontaneous. It kind of says to me, look, this is what this card means. We've staged the card to be able to look this way. And so that's the meaning of it. And that just kind of gives me a straight answer, you guys. And so it's a nice deck. I'm glad that it's on my collection. I definitely will be using this deck. It's sort of like, the size is really not my favorite. I like bigger cards and I like thicker cardstock, but still I like it. And I'm kind of glad that, I'm glad that it is on my collection. And I will be using it. You guys, I don't want to drag this any further. I'm going to set the cards here as I always do. I'm going to play some music and I'm going to do a complete walkthrough for you guys. You guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to tell me what you think about this deck. If you guys have this deck and you really love it, share with me. Tell me what it is that you like about it. Tell me what it is that you don't like about it. Pretty much, I like the deck. I mean, for what it is, I'm pretty pleased with it, to be honest. I wish that it would be a little bit more colorful, but, you know, I find it a little monotone. But that's okay. What do we have here? The Seven of Swords. But that's okay. No, the Seven of Swords. This is kind of like, this is one of those images that is a little bit savage-like. You see these bodies here, they've been mutilated. There's like a part of the leg or the foot. Here's a hand. You know, it looks like a battle had just taken place here. And then there's like this one running away. So, and then there's this object here, which is like a cutting machine, right? It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. I mean, it definitely tells you what is going on with the Seven of Swords. So interesting, you guys. Let's do our walkthrough. As I always say, sit back and enjoy the ride, you guys. Okay, you guys, that was the Leonardo Da Vinci Tarot. This is the Los Scarabeo edition. And as I always say, you guys, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to tell me what you think about this deck. If you have this deck, let me know what you think on the comments below. And I went ahead and I got this deck directly with Los Scarabeo, which is what I recommend that you guys do if you're thinking of getting it. And as I always say, you guys, again, until the next time,